It do, folks. It's your boy Charles Younger here, and this is Maryland Terrapins live at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am your host Charles Younger, and back in the saddle with me today is the OG, the Professor G, the only
What's
G
the deal,
you
bro?
wish you could be. That is Mark Gray. He spent his last weekend in Sin City doing a little HBCU work. So, how was your weekend in Vegas, and what games did you play?
Uh, didn't play any game other than watching a great one between Grambling and Jackson State, where Grambling won as the upset. But I did introduce myself to a new um, adult bar. It's a place called Dazed, and I think the title speaks for itself. Thank God for rideshare, and it was a lovely time from what I remember of it.
Yeah,
The
I'm
the memories are foggy. The memories are foggy, and they've taken, a few days to come back, but just about at 100%.
nice. But you still have still got the jet lag from the travel, or you kind of back into the grind of the East Coast here?
Here's the funny thing about that. The other side of me that is Mr. Baseball gets back home, and then Monday night, you've got an 18-inning epic. You couldn't turn it off. You couldn't go to sleep, but you were dead tired. So
Yes.
that was what hindered the quicker ability to get off the west to east jet lag. Cause and then again, when I'm an older G now, man, you don't pop back like you used to anymore. I don't have rubber band that just snaps back. Mine's more like a bag string, a tie string. Just can't snap it no more.
No, I feel you. I tried to stay up for that 18 game. I don't have cable, so I watch it the Fox Sports app, and for some reason, the time slot was set where it's supposed to be an MLS game going on at 11 o'clock. So every time it would pause out, it would bump to the MLS game. So I had to back out, go back in. The English broadcast was not available, but I can watch it in Spanish. Pretty easily. Only problem is I don't speak that much Spanish. I speak a little bit, but not enough to where I can listen to an entire
So you got to go
baseball game.
closed caption
Closed caption.
English.
Yes.
Okay. It works fine. I'm telling you, for my international football fetish, card carrying member of the Chelsea Football Club fan club, defending club champion in FIFA. Just so you know,
Hmm.
at least I do have some team that I can feel prideful in winning a championship about. As I approach this weekend with a great deal of concerns, Chuck. Um, I hope your homecoming experience is a good one. But I'm very, very worried about this game, man. I mean, very, very worried about it because you got two teams that are going in different directions.
Hmm.
Expectations clearly are higher on the visitor side of the field this weekend at CQ Stadium, and just the relentless amount of offensive weapons that Indiana has against the Maryland defense that probably did need the bye week to try to figure it out. Now, Maryland will have intangibles. It's homecoming. It's already a sold out crowd. I don't think we've been able to say that all season long. So, if there figures to be a lot of energy and intangibles that go into this game, but make no mistake about it here. This the best team you could make an argument in America, right?
Hmm.
And I think that when you start looking at them statistically and compare them against some of the blue bloods, you will see just how good Indiana is. This is a game where they're going to come into Maryland, I think, cocky enough to think that they're win. And if I'm Kirk Signetti, I'm probably even putting out um, the cosmetic speech. If we can beat them by, we will move up to what? Kids are
Well,
smart. They watch the four-letter networks and are handicapping their place in the college football playoffs. To me, if you're a Maryland fan, there are a lot of reasons, and we will get into many of them, to
mm,
be worried about this game because this Indiana team is a monster, man. They on the hunt for a national championship, and they're looking like they're going to devour any weaklings in their track. I'm anxious to see how strong the Terps are going to be tomorrow on both sides of the ball.
Exactly. This Maryland started off the season 4-0 and then have lost 3 consecutive games. Went to Washington, being up 20-0. Lost to Nebraska up 10 in the fourth, and lost to UCLA. Gives up a late drive for a game-winning field goal. The same UCLA team that Indiana beat 56-6. We
Right.
scored against this team, and they just dog walked them up and down the field. I mean, UCLA had there was a first quarter interception, and then that was it. That was the end of the game for UCLA. It was over after that. Indiana's like, nah, this is not going to happen on our watch. And they said, we are going to take this game over. And you said Indiana was trying to go up. There's only one more spot they can go, and that is number one. And that's
Exactly.
and
Exactly. If you have a chance to reach out and grab number one, it's going to be
yeah.
kind of difficult because you're not. And see, this is the fallacy.
Mm.
If I can have a soapbox for a second here of this college football playoff committee thing. All
Mhm.
right. Let's say Indiana, and I'm not playing devil's advocate for him. I'm just saying, let's say Indiana, number 2 team in the nation, comes into Maryland and rolls them,
Mhm.
right? You would then have to say that they do now make a compelling argument to be the number 1 team in the nation, but they don't have enough sexy about them. And what do I mean
Mhm.
about sexy? Indiana football is a new thing. It's not a blue blood. You play in a
Mhm.
blue blood conference, but you're not considered a blue blood program.
Mhm.
So when the shady athletic administrators get into their capsules for 5 or 6 weeks, you start judging the quality of the victory.
Mhm.
And it would be interesting to see on their behalf if Maryland plays them tough and gives away another game, how will they be perceived by the college football judges as it relates to moving forward with the college football playoff? And what
Mhm.
kind of win does Maryland become, given that they're struggling right now when you're dealing with quad type of wins and stuff like that? So
Mhm.
that's my soapbox. Um, of all the many great things that I love about this game of college football, the format for the college football playoffs is ridiculous in terms of because it's really about 2 conferences, and if you're not a blue blood, I don't think you get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm actually checking out the strength of schedule. Uh, the Hoosiers have a higher strength of schedule than Ohio State. So, but the remaining strength of schedule is pretty weak. They only play us, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. But if you look at their SOR ranking, it's A&M, Texas A&M, Indiana, and Buckeyes. So,
So how do we look? I mean,
how do
objectively
we rate
speaking,
that? Yeah.
and I don't want to start seem like going into Maryland's homecoming, we
Mm,
trumpeting for uh
mm,
Indiana because Maryland could have. Now, I will say this: the vibe around campus leads me to believe that this team is going to have an initial charge from the energy and spot, and all of the seats are taken. I got the sense from being around some students on campus all week that their expectation for this game has not been, I guess, simmered or decreased by the difficult struggle. One of the things that you and I have been talking about, me in particular, is the absence of a home field advantage.
mhm,
I think they're going to have that home field advantage this week. I just wonder, can they capitalize on it? But you know what derails home field advantage? An 80-yard touchdown drive on the first
mhm,
possession, followed up
mhm,
by a 60-yard touchdown in one play, followed by a fumble, followed by a long run, and by halftime, I mean, people are scratching their backsides and trying to make the best of a bad situation. Not saying that's going to happen, but I think if you're a Maryland fan, you got to be a little, you know, concerned about not how they necessarily start games, but how they finish. And that's been the most perplexing thing about this whole season. I mean, we can't blame it on the we can't blame it on the roster because there's talent there. I mean, you got receivers that can make big plays. They just don't make big plays in the moment. You've got defensive players that make big plays, aren't disciplined in the moment. I'm pretty sure that's been drilled into the head of the team during the bye week. Now you just got to hope in critical situations, if you're a Terp fan, that they don't beat themselves. I firmly do believe, Chuck, that if they decrease, if you use a tennis term, unforced errors, Maryland wins, two of the last three that they lost easy.
Mm.
Discipline stuff that should have been talked to, worked on, and corrected. It'll just be interesting to see if the guys between 18 and 21 years old who caught up in a homecoming moment, understanding that their postseason is hanging in the balance, because you got to get to 6 games in order to qualify for a bowl. And this is, that would be that might be a death knell in many respects. So the ramifications of tomorrow's game are far-reaching, not only for the rest of the season, but for years to come.
And exactly what you said about Maryland's unforced errors. You have plays that happen where Maryland makes a huge stop. It's a third and short, whatever, make a huge stop, and then a boneheaded, maybe. I give this. I appreciate the aggressiveness, but you gotta contain it to where you're not going to hurt yourself in the long run. A boneheaded play, a personal play here, a roughing the passer here, a targeting part, here. It's always seems to be one or two of those a game that just change the momentum and causes Maryland to possibly just collapse mentally, where they just like, oh, it happened again, and then that's when everything seems to be falling apart for Maryland, especially in the fourth quarter when they have a lead and they should, find a way to close the game out, and they end up having a boneheaded, unforced error that changes the momentum and gets the team back in the game. It happened against Nebraska. It happened against Washington. It happened every game that we were up late and lost. It was one play that's like gave the other team that extra bit of.
And no, it gave them a charge.
Yeah,
And I think I know where you're
charge. Yeah,
going with this, but they've also
yeah.
been not only to the mistaken plays, they've been gaffes in the secondary. Okay.
Yes.
And one of the holes that the word on the street was that the new defensive backs coach was going to change the dynamic of what happens to the back end of the secondary. And quite
Mm,
frankly, Chuck, in big moments, the corners haven't made big plays.
mm,
To your other point, however, when they do make the big play, there has been too much celebrating afterwards.
mm,
Where in a conference, when it comes to sportsmanlike discipline, they've
mm.
got a quick trigger. And you have to
Exactly.
understand how the officials are officiating your overt enthusiasm, shall we call it?
Hmm.
But I think that those are that's a place that really you got to get backed up. And again, the defensive tackle play in my position. I mean, it's not so much that Maryland is giving up first downs defensively. It's the way that they're giving them up. Take the
Mm,
penalties and the discipline plays aside. I haven't seen them in a third and short situation or a fourth and short situation be able to stop the rush at the line of scrimmage.
mm,
And you got this is the big freaking 10. If your defense can't stand up on, you know, third and less than 3 with a dive play, then you're in for a long rest of the season. And I think those are another couple of factors that I hope they worked on during the course of the last couple of weeks after recovering from UCLA that changes the look or the outcome of this game.
exactly. And you said like they make big plays. They are second in the nation in interceptions at 14. They lead the nation in pick sixes at 4, but they somehow I think it was we saw it last week was I think it was Jermaine Glasgow who had the pick six. It celebrated, and I think they got a penalty after the fact. I think it was an interception return, and then one of the defensive linemen hit uh, uh, Nebraska's quarterback. Penalty pushes them back. They get it's just I find it like you see for every good play, there's always something that brings it back down. And another thing I want to bring up is it's not just the defense, it's the offense that seems to sputter out in the red zone. 26 trips to the red zone, only 11 touchdowns.
Wow.
That's not good. I
That
mean,
no, no.
that is
That
not
means
good.
15 times you're settling for a field goal attempt,
Yeah.
right?
And in that 26 trips to the red zone, they've scored only 22. So they've had 4 times the red zone, they didn't score at all. So, I mean, they look good thing they have a good kicker because, they at least get some kind of points out of it and Sean O'Hare. But
But even
11 of
O'Hare had
26,
a gaffe. I think it was against Washington, was it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a second half kick that was somewhere inside 40 yards, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. So,
Yes.
now and to your point, in those 3 losses, right?
Hmm.
Maryland has a point differential of -37.
Hmm.
In the fourth quarter, in 3 games,
Exactly.
-37. You outscored like 37-0 in the fourth quarter or something.
Mm.
Now, you wanna compare what's going on in the first 3?
Mm.
They plus 114. How's that
Yeah.
happen? I mean, thoroughbreds finish games.
Mm.
Show ponies lead the race for 3/4 of it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And
Yes.
I think we thought we had a thoroughbred, and here's a moment to see what you got.
Yeah.
The character's definitely gonna be tested, and the coaching, ability to make adjustments on the fly. Because Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is
He's
something
been
different.
balling. He is
I mean,
balling right now.
I could make a compelling argument that the same thing you see from Malik Washington, you get from Fernando Mendoza, just in a different package. But they're
Hmm.
both athletic, they're extremely accurate passers. They seem to have all the throws in their repertoire. Um, it's just that the supporting cast to me around Mendoza has helped him shine to the point that he's probably going to get a trip to New York, whether he wins the Heisman Trophy or not. I think when you look at him, and that's another thing that's been fascinating as we look throughout the Big Ten. It's We've gone from a conference, as in the Big Ten, that was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, where
Hmm.
you just bruised and beat up on people and ran them through the ground. Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr and Jim Tressel, all those dudes. Hey, you were running the football,
Mm.
and who's the bell cow for Maryland? Are we ready to put Roman Hemby in that category with guys who are closers throughout the league? And I don't know if they've got a closer. You know what I'm saying? A guy you can
Yeah.
put the ball in his hands, and even when he's dead tired, can take a shot where he would have gained only 2 yards and gains 2 more just because of. I like Hemby. He's strong. He's tough. A little undersized for me, but he's had a week off. To me, he's got to play a really, really, really bigger game than we've seen him play all season long.
Yeah, because Maryland's only averaging 3.5 yards per attempt. And that's only because they had one good rushing game all season, and that changed the average up. That's going to hurt them in the third and shorts because, like I said, third down, 40 of 106 to 37.75%. That is that's drive killing right there. That drive killing production when you can't convert those third downs. Uh, I think that they have not done. And the three-headed monster they have at running back between Nolan Ray, uh, the other running back escapes my
Hemby,
name, my mind. Yes, and uh, and there's another one, the young guy, the rookie, the freshman. What's his name? He is. His name escapes me right now, but they gotta find one of those guys that
Iverson.
just Iverson, yes, Iverson, excuse me. Yeah, they gotta find one of those guys to step up. Him be Iverson or Ray have to step up, and Jawan Williams also. They need to find one of those guys to step up and make a play running ball. And then that line, it seems to be not going to be able to push defensive lines. Impose their will and push the other defensive line to make those holes for running back to attack either. So I'm not sure what it is about that that front five, if they're not getting the right coaching, or if it's just not the
They're
right
just not
scheme for the
getting off
players
the
they have.
ball quick in the second half. I think that
Mm,
I don't know if they're worn down too much, because Maryland's had some big play opportunities and some shorter drives. I think Maryland's got to do a better job in the first half of ball control. And I think that,
mm,
you can talk all you want about how prolific an offense is. That
mm,
offense can't kill you if they're on the sidelines. And I
mm,
think that's where Maryland's defense has to man up. I mean, we
mm,
can't sugarcoat it any longer. Um, Offensively, you can make a compelling argument that they've done enough to win all the games, particularly the last three that they have lost.
mm,
It's time for that to put up or shut up now. And I think from where we are, when you look at the financial investment that the college university has made into the program. I mean, this isn't the days of the, subpar facilities any longer and nutrition and weight programs. Um,
mm,
this is some, everything to create the environment to not only compete but to win and to beat these type of teams
mm,
is still in place. You know,
mhm,
when does it click for a team, which leads you to believe, you know how it is. Sometimes teams have lost so much in big games, and I'm not talking about teams in terms of this collective of individuals, but the program as a whole, that there's sometimes a cloud that hovers when you get into moments and where there's uncertainty amongst the players. I think some of that angst might trickle down into the coaches themselves, and then you've got everybody rattling. I think that you could look into perhaps some of that that's going on because you get a stop, player makes an undisciplined play, uh, coach is still salty. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of
mm,
breaks down the communication and therefore breaks down the execution. And then boom, the next thing you know, you got a couple of big plays. You either flip the field or you give up a six pack and it's been canceled Christmas,
mm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I am right now. And then the stat pack I did, because you get the team pack, which
Mhm,
give you frames the narrative of each team in the way that you want to. So I go around
mhm,
Google and
mhm,
I get various stats. And
mhm.
you know what they say about Indiana's weaknesses on defense?
What was that?
They're inefficient on fourth down. That is the defensive weakness. For as much as we talk about, their prolific offense, the struggles of the defense is that they've only converted on 38.5% of their first fourth downs. My question is, how many times has the defense been in position when it had to play for a third or fourth down when you got an offense as prolific as theirs?
When you're up by 30 points that game.
It just goes to show they keep numbers on everything,
Mm.
but I mean, come
Well, I
on,
mean, you
man.
think about it. Most teams, if you're up by 20, 30 points, the other opposing team's going to go on fourth down a lot more, and they're probably going to convert
Right.
more. By more opportunities to try to convert, you're going to convert more. But
And you're playing softer defenses when you got
yeah,
bigger leads and you're not blitzing, you're playing a lot more zone, all that
hmm
type of stuff. Yeah. But I will
yeah,
say this,
and probably your reserves are in too as well.
yeah. And again, I've been lamenting all season long that we've not seen Maryland on the national TV network, the national TV stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been and no diss to the Big Ten network, y'all, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the conference's network. To me, that's like when Maryland was in the ACC. It was Jefferson Pilot. You remember that?
Oh yeah, Jefferson Pilot Sports. I
Oh, of
heard of that.
course.
Yeah,
you know,
this game is brought to you by
Heck,
Jefferson
I
Pilot.
had
Where
pilot
was
life
Jefferson Pilot?
insurance when I was in elementary school. So, the Gordons from Gloucester fish sticks ads. I remember all that. But those days are over. Maryland is on CBS tomorrow.
Mm.
Okay. That's an
Yes,
afternoon game. You coast to
big
coast,
big
border to
CBS by the
border.
way.
And
Mm.
and if you're in Baltimore, I think it's on channel 13, and if you're
Mm,
in DC, it's on channel 9.
mhm,
Okay, why do I bring that up? It's homecoming, packed house. You're
mhm,
facing the number 2 team in the nation at Indiana, who's 8-0. You have no chance to win the game, allegedly. Hey, you should be able to go out there, play footloose, fancy free, and go out and try to do something spectacular. Like we saw, what, a couple years ago when
mm.
USC came to town
Yeah,
and it was homecoming, and somebody forgot to tell USC that they were a homecoming opponent, and Maryland drubbed them.
and that was the Caleb Williams UFC team too.
Right.
Number one
Starting
overall draft
quarterback
pick,
for the
Caleb.
Bears, no less. Yeah.
Yes,
And he
that's
got drubbed in Maryland. And we've seen it happen before. So for a team that's probably not even considered to be a bubble team in
mm,
the eyes of the college football playoff committee, especially with 3 games that they've lost already and the strength of the teams they've beaten, just by the rudimentary principles as to how I understand some of the rules that or guidelines that they're using to put the 16 team or 12 team playoff together. I'm trending towards Maryland's on the outside looking in, but they've got to get 2 wins to make a bowl game. Okay. And this game is set up to be either a blowout or a validation that this team has in fact turned a corner, and so doing turning the corner for the program. I really believe that. I mean, I never thought in my lifetime I'd be looking at a matchup like Indiana and Maryland and thinking if Maryland can beat Indiana after losing 3 in a row when they were on top by double digits, if they can get this pelt right here, it'll reset the whole season. And the perception of Maryland as a program around the country because of the big TV platform. I mean, remember, this is normally the time spot back in the day before ABC and ESPN got the SEC rights.
mhm.
So CBS had to take on the SEC and or CBS had to take on the Big Ten, I should say. So now you got that whole national TV audience. You don't need cable or streaming service to see it. A win like this just about puts a salve on all the wounds for the rest of the season.
Yeah. On a side note, I just googled Jefferson Pilot Sports. The former sports broadcasting division specialized in college sports, particularly the Southeast Conference and the ACC, was acquired by Lincoln Financial Media in 2006, then sold to Raycom Media in 2007. Now it's a part of Raycom Sports. So it's still there. It's just a part of Raycom Sports. For those old heads out there, remember watching games in Jefferson Pilot
Yeah,
Sports.
Jim
But I
Thacker
digress.
and Billy Packer on
Yes.
basketball, that is. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. I used to watch it on back in my little country town. We got the 3 channels, and we
Well,
Jefferson House Sports was a broadcast on our 3 channels.
and with all due respect to the beloved ACC, of which Maryland is no longer a member of, as they say
Mhm.
on Hee Haw,
Mhm.
salute. But I make the trade to the Big Ten 100 times out of 100, despite the travel and TV exposure. Remember,
Yes.
Big Ten exposure goes coast to coast now because
Mhm.
they have their own network. Okay.
Mhm.
Every
And
week
and
there's
4 West Coast
there are
teams.
windows
Yeah.
of games for you to be on, be it
Yeah.
on early afternoon, middle of the afternoon, or prime time. Okay.
Mhm.
Everybody has a piece of the pie.
And West
Uh,
Coast prime time. So you get that late show too.
yeah.
They get that.
So, but the point I'm trying to make for the ACC to be an across the country conference, their TV deal is like with the CW. Maybe it's
Do
me,
not
but
disrupt the CW.
and I'm not dissing the CW, but I don't think sports when I see CW, bro.
Mm.
I see
The
quasi
Vampire Diaries.
hilarious comedy, slapstick humor,
Mhm.
reruns on local TV. I do not see a major Power Five college football conference. ACC
mm,
got some fixing of the visibility to do right now. Not that I would
mm,
ever take a shot at a conference that did everything to hate on Maryland, especially
mm,
in times when they were legitimately going to win games to earn a championship. I never
mm.
take a shot at the ACC, but if I did,
But I
this
did.
would be one of
Mm.
them. Hey, look, 3 TV networks, and you got the CW. We'll leave the light on for you, why don't you?
It's a, it was a Motel 86 there. That was Super 8 Motel. Leave the light on for you. Oh man, that's great. But another,
Remember the Hardee's joint? Best eating in town, up and down and
oh,
all around.
oh, Hardee's. I remember those were some days. That get the gallon of sweet tea and a bucket of fried chicken. Oof.
Mm.
Actually, but here's a question I got to ask you. If this goes bad, what do you think Mike Loxley's job situation is going to look like by the end of this year if they don't seem to turn something around here? I mean, they're 1-3 in the Big Ten, 4-3 overall. Uh, they have down the stretch. They have who they have. They have Michigan coming to town as well. They go to Rutgers. Excuse me. They go to Rutgers next week.
They got both Michigan teams at
Illinois
Rutgers,
into
right?
Illinois. Yeah, they
Okay,
got Rutgers on at Rutgers at Illinois, and then home to Michigan, and then at Michigan State. So the 2 wins gets them bowl eligible.
right.
Do they does this, or if they don't make a bowl this year, is it in for Mike Loxley at the end of the year?
Wow, that's an 800-pound gorilla, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think that at this point in the season, that's a very viable question to ask. I
Mm,
really do. Um, the difficult part about navigating that as a program is when if you make a move like that, not only are you going to have to rebuild the coaching staff, you're going to have to rebuild your roster. When you have a supreme talent like Malik Washington, who bought into Loxley as much as he bought into the program,
mhm,
if you let the guy who your franchise player is attached to, that's a double whammy, man.
mm,
And I don't and I've been pondering that question too. I really have because I don't. You're not going to get a straight answer from anybody. Everything is going to be
mm,
about evaluation. Finding the right solutions, and I do believe Jim Smith is committed to that. I believe Jim Smith is committed to um, championship excellence
mhm.
and a branded sports product that's entertaining to the community. I get all that, but you would set that back a lot as far as the football program is concerned if Locks has to go after this season. Now, if they don't win another game, I just have to say, well, if you don't win another game this year, that's scorched earth, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've hit Armageddon, so it's been obliterated.
Back to
So you're
back
gonna have
years of
to build a
starting
new
hot and then failing
right.
the rest of the season. Yeah,
But let me tell you another 800-pound gorilla in the room with this.
mm,
James Franklin's still out there,
mhm,
and he was supposed to be the heir apparent. And then they brought in Randy Edsel, and we know what happened with that.
mm,
I don't know. James Franklin looked like to me a coach that I think got what, a $54 million buyout and is
mm,
bumming because he's on the sideline. For all
mm,
the angst and contempt that he's had towards the university, that is, for not hiring him. If they extended him the offer, I think he would at least take the interview. And you wonder, is that the guy that could perfectly fit here in here at Maryland? To me, when Franklin was let go,
mm,
the dominoes started falling from State College to College Park. You can
mm,
see how that dynamic is there. And dude, that's hovering. People are going to tell you for the rest of I've been a reporter about this all along. Everybody's going to be close to the vest. They're going to keep everything on lockdown. But they're having these conversations now.
mm,
And I think that if you're Maryland, the other dynamic, in addition to potentially losing Malik Washington, is the buyout. Buyouts of college coaches are now on blast after Governor Landry, Jeff Landry in
Mm,
Louisiana, went
yeah.
off on firing Brian Kelly this week,
Mm,
and they had to give another big buyout to the athletic director. This is not the time for schools to have to buy out underachieving coaches.
mm,
And there are some even student rumblings. If you go on
mm,
the boards on campus, and in the interest of full disclosure, I do check out the boards on campus as a professor.
mm.
Um, and there have been some legitimate questions. We don't win. The guy has the highest salary on campus or what have you, and so there's some frustration. Donors want to invest in winning programs. Uh, Man, there are layers to this. And even one of my good friends, who's a former media guy, who may have taught you when you were in school, no, insert no name here. He asked me that question a week from last Sunday when we were watching a football game together, and all I could do was shrug. You know, um, I still believe that Loxley knows how to build a team, but to get it to a next level, I'm waiting to see that. And I really believe in Pep. I believe in Ted. I think Manikino's defensive schemes are really on point. Then I don't know if they're being comprehended or executing well. I mean, to me, on paper, they've checked all the boxes. But in the
Mm.
most important box, when it comes to W versus L, they haven't checked enough. That's the bottom line, Chuck. And I know I might be waffling, but when the L's are more than the W's, you almost have to make a change, right?
That's true. I mean, and I feel like it may be too soon because he has a whole new coaching staff underneath him. He just brought in Pep and Mike, to try to reinvigorate and revitalize the offense and defense. And maybe it's one more class needs to come in just because he's got a good class coming in next year, I believe. Maybe that can be the maybe because he's going to lose all three of his top receivers this year because they're all three seniors in Punch, Jaleel Farouk, and Octavian Smith. They're all seniors. So next year is when a new crop of guys coming in. Maybe it might need to be just one more turnover with another class coming in, some receivers, the younger receivers. Once it's because the offense is still kind of young outside the receivers. The quarterback's young, the running backs are young. Maybe a couple more receivers coming in next year. Defense is still young. They'll be a year older, but
And
maybe
you can
just
find a
one more
receiver in the
year.
portal.
Yeah,
That's
one
that
more
that
year.
that's one of the positions that's always stocked with disgruntled divas who are not getting enough attempts in their direction. They're looking for a place to put the stickum on and start
Mm,
making more catches again. So, from just by virtue of the diva receiver position, you're
mm.
going to always be able to keep that up. And to know that you can play with a quarterback like Malik Washington. I mean, to your point, I can't see how Maryland isn't an attractive a destination, but you got to get to at least a bowl game first
Mm,
so that you can, in fact, show off Malik. Okay.
mm,
I mean, now, this kid is worth the price of admission, right? We know that he's a box office quality quarterback. Talent wise, he didn't have to take a back seat to anybody in this league. And we've seen Rayola, right?
mm.
The kid at Nebraska,
Yes.
the Washington quarterback who's nice, more of an athlete, but still a really good pockets passer. And his name, forget, I forgot, but
Uh,
I want to say
I
it's
believe
Ray or
it's.
something like that. But the
I
long
think.
story short is this is a conference of great quarterbacks. Indiana has one. It's not like you had the
Damon
game
Williams
managers back
Jr.
in the
Excuse
day.
me. Mm.
What'd you say?
Damon Williams Jr. is the quarterback for the Huskies.
Okay. Well, he just made big plays.
Mm,
He made the right throws at the right time. But when it
mm,
comes to arm talent and the size and strength and all that, Malik Washington as a freshman looks to me as good as Rayola when he's
mhm,
playing right. And
mhm,
Rayola's going to pro. I'm serious,
mm,
man. That dude's going to be a top 5 pick if you ask me.
mhm.
His ball placement is sick, right?
Yeah.
He's big, he's
Mhm.
athletic,
Yes.
and I mean, football is the family business, man. His dad played in the league. He's just got a genetic. Uh, I think he's gonna morph into like a Bo Nix type.
Mm.
Right. I do. I do. I
I
was really impressed with him, man.
yeah,
Uh,
I was definitely wrong about Bo Nix coming out of college because he's been
Lights out.
that dude.
But
Yeah.
again, you got to understand his dad played college football at Georgia Tech.
Mm,
He was an offensive coordinator at the U. He went back to Georgia Tech, right?
mhm.
And was an assistant there. I think he was an OC there also. Again, football, that family business. It's in the genes that he
And
inherited,
business
the
is
coaching that he
good.
got from his dad and everybody around. And you
Mm,
just got next generational superstars called generational wealth.
mm.
Like to have some of that.
Yeah, yeah. Just put me in your will, please. But
Please.
um, but I want to get to just breaking down this game altogether because, like I said, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those games where it's like I think Maryland, when they are moving the ball and moving the ball well, they are attacking the ball vertically down the field, down the middle. And when they start struggling, it's when they try to stretch the ball, sideline to sideline. Um, I noticed, like I said, you have guys like, Shalik Knox, who's their big play guy. He's not. I've not seen him stretch the field at all since the first 3 games. Farouk, who's kind of like their possession guy, I've seen him, get like 4 or 5 catches for 65 yards. I need him to, be targeted a little bit more. Octavius Smith, who's their slot guy, who basically is like their Swiss Army knife of a receiver. He can play outside, inside, go across the middle. He's been kind of quiet. And another guy I've been probably his praises all season is Dorian Fleming, the tight end, who athletically is as gifted as anybody at that position at around 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds, who's got good speed, good hands, can block. Um, I just want to see them to. I want to see them to spread the ball and attack downfield more consistently than they have been doing when they get the lead. They'll kind of like pull the reins back and try to run the ball and do these little gadget screens and stuff like that. I need them to drop back and be aggressive and throw the ball. Malik has an arm; he can take the
Oh,
ball downfield, and
yeah,
I need
but
them to keep.
I agree with you to a point. But
Mm,
at some point, to control the ball and
mm,
keep the ball out of the hands of the talented quarterback on the other side of the field is a
mm,
question that Maryland, I think, has to answer quickly.
mm,
You've got to be able to run the ball when you need to run the ball. And you're talking about the tight end and one of the great pass catchers. That's great. But getting around the edge in crunch time and having a tight end that can help you set that edge on the
mm,
offensive side, they got to figure that out. I think what's hampering the Maryland offense most of all is the offensive line. I
mm,
think that, in the second half, they have been quite frankly getting whipped. And I'm not quite sure that's a product of scheme. I
mm,
just think that in those one-on-one matchups, they're losing more often than not. Now,
mm,
the good thing about a bye week, Chuck, is that you've had a chance to look at your technique over and over and over and over again. Maybe they found, the secret sauce after all that. But to me, that's where Maryland is losing the game
mm,
right now. It's up front and it's on the defensive front, man. It is. And then, the offensive front, after say you give up a score, they don't hold up and you end up punting the football and then it's right back out there on the field. So
mm,
as I break down the game, right, and remember, you've blown leads in all 3 games that you've lost in the fourth quarter. So we know they are almost there. That's the
Mhm.
frustrating thing with this team, man. You know how good they are. You know what they have as far as talent is concerned. You know the brain trust on the sideline is probably second to none. Why can't they get over the hump? I mean, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are asking that question, perhaps even inside gossip, the field house.
Mhm.
I just don't, they've got to get better in the trenches on both sides of the ball. So when you need to get that 2 yards on third down and not have to punt midway or to the late end of the fourth quarter, you can keep possession of the ball. And I think that the mano a motto in the trenches is trending towards the opposition. And no excuse for being tired now. You had the long West Coast trip, you had a week off. You had ample scouting and study time to work on your technique. I think those guys in the trenches got to do a much better job, man. I think if they play better, then it trickles down to everybody else because offensively, I think they're trying to improvise a lot when the pocket breaks down, which is kind of throwing the passing game out of whack, and even on the
Mhm.
short stuff. You know what I'm saying? When they're trying to get the ball into either Iverson or Hemby's hands on the swing routes, the curls and
Mhm.
stuff like that. They're just not holding the blocks in the trenches enough, or those players aren't getting open because things are getting blown up. Those are the little things, right, that seem so innocuous until your quarterback is sacked or a pass is deflected or there's a fumble because of the breakdown up front. And to me, Maryland's trench game got to get a lot better and it's got to get a lot better quick. And it's going to be most important on the defensive front tomorrow, man. Because with the balance that Indiana has in their offense, they can get you with the pass or the run. They can score with a big play in the air or gut your throat with a run play on something as, innocuous as just your basic sweep. So this is an enormous challenge, man. I got to be honest with you. I can understand the lines makers having this a 3 touchdown game. I can see that. You know,
Mhm.
if I'm, participating in one of those games of chance with that number, I am certainly tempted, and me, the gambler that I am, I will put the 21 and a half based upon the fact that Maryland has fallen apart in the second half. I think they probably can go with a track meet with Indiana for the first half, but at some point, it's almost like you got to take the air out of the ball and slow it down. Kind of like when it's two basketball teams going up and down the court, and then you finally get into the last 5 minutes of the game, and it becomes a half court game. I think that's the way Maryland has to approach this with their running game. Short passes. You want to occupy the time to keep Indiana's offense off the field. And it's crazy. You start looking at these innocuous numbers. The
Mhm.
numbers say that Indiana has only converted on 38.5% of their fourth downs, ranking them
Mhm.
third worst in the conference. My time is, or my question, I should say, is how many times have they had to go for it on fourth down? I mean,
Exactly.
the way that they're rolling on teams like that. So it's just, there's a lot. And I tell you who else who really concerns me for Indiana defensively. Remember the name Lewis Moore. He's a defensive back. He leads them in both tackles and interceptions.
Mm.
All over the place, boys and girls. I mean, I'm anxious to see his body type in person to see whether or not, but the way he covers grounds and the perception is he's pretty good. I guess he works a lot in a lot of different packages in both corner and safety positions.
Mhm.
So, you know, this is not just an offensive juggernaut that gets all the attention because of how spectacular they are. This is a complete team, Chuck. This is a team that can win the national championship. Okay. And homecoming fan, be prepared. You're gonna see right now what's considered the second best team in the country, although they might be number one. And the only reason they're not number one is because they're like Indiana and
Mm,
not Alabama. But I tell you
mm,
what, right now, Chuck, this thing could get ugly quickly. It could, because they are explosive. And one thing about, and you know from his days at James Madison,
mhm,
when Signetti gets you down, he tries to kill you with a sledgehammer. There's,
mm.
you know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
they get a chance to drub you, they will drub you. And I think that, they looking forward to being in a big market, nation's capital. It's a big thing. You saw how the Nebraska fans came in droves on a holiday weekend just to be a part of the atmosphere of the DMV. They showed up, they showed out. I'm wondering, and you may have a better handle on this, because we saw there was a bit of a UW takeover when the Huskies were in town. I mean, their fans were big and aggressive on the far side of the field. As a matter of fact, by my count, certainly at the end of the game, there were a lot more Husky fan over there than they were Terp fans. I don't know where this great invasion from Washington came from, but the opposition is finding home turf in the stands, and
Mm,
really, when their team needs them, they give them a rush. And I think Maryland fan is, I know the visitors that I've talked to are looking forward to seeing the changes on the campus and seeing people who were their classmates and all that. But they too are concerned
mm.
about, they're most of the people I've talked to, Chuck, are like hoping for a good game. Now, when you go to
Yeah.
homecoming, aren't you supposed to be expecting to win the game? Well, I'm just doing an average little man on the street, personal poll of people that I know who have ties to the college, the university, and especially in the College of Journalism. And they are like, okay, we want to see this. So you asked the question about what Maryland must do as far as job security is concerned. If Maryland doesn't win another game, the pulse I'm getting is you have a lot of alums, whether they're contributing or not, I don't know, um, who want to see W's. You know, there are a lot of people like you and I that would like a nice, warm weather bowl trip. We'd even make the sacrifice to deal with it if it's in Florida. All right.
Mm,
And they're frustrated that they don't get those opportunities. I know a lot of my friends who said they don't want to go to Charlotte anymore. And if it came down between Charlotte and New York, they'd much rather go to New York and play in the Pinstripe Bowl because
mm,
it's New York,
mhm.
So those are the kind of frivolous things that your alumni and your fan base are talking about. And when I talk to people, that's the kind of feedback I'm getting. So I'm just hoping that Maryland plays at least a game that is and the fact that it's on national TV, the optics would be so bad with a blowout loss that, again, I don't think Maryland's going to buy anybody out. I don't think that's the game plan, but those are how contracts are worded these days, man. And W's and L's certainly do, in fact, have a lot to say with your solvency and how long you can stick around. Because everybody don't get $54 million to walk away. And I don't know if Maryland's in position to afford that.
No, that's the big business of college football. You pay all this money just to get people to go away. But
Well, you get them to sign and then they underachieve and then they go
yeah,
away. And then you have
yeah,
idiot governors who've got people starving.
mm, yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
their
but
priority.
anyway,
Yeah,
anyway,
but I digress.
yeah.
Well, it's been very enlightening because I need to go do other work this evening because I am a busy man who's
Yes, World
who's
Series,
who's, who's World Series tonight. Game 6, excuse me,
game
in
six.
Toronto. As
Yeah.
I say, it's Game 6 in Toronto as the Toronto Blue Jays host the Los Angeles Dodgers. Vlad Jr., my man, who's putting
Man,
on a show.
He
putting on
is.
his show out there, and he's definitely earning his paycheck. He signed in the off season. Um, and Otani seems to be running out of gas because he, after that fantastic 16-10 strikeout game and then the 18 inning game, it appeared he ran out of gas in
He's
game
human.
5. But yeah, he is human, allegedly. Who knew? Who knew?
Wow. He is the unicorn. But I will say
Yeah,
this: there's going to be a game 7, and
yeah,
whatever happens, happens.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm, I'm, and this is going to age well come Sunday, no matter what happens. Yamamoto, big game,
Yeah,
clutch
yeah,
performance.
yeah. Two
I'm
consecutive
gonna set
complete
the over
games.
under at 7 2/3 with
Mm.
12 strikeouts.
Woo. That's
Yep.
interesting. Two consecutive complete games, so 7 2/3 is
hmm
not a stretch, and he's been electric with his stuff, pinpoint accuracy, pinpoint command, pinpoint control, and he's been phenomenal. But yes, Game 6 is tonight. Hopefully on Fox. Tune in, watch the royalty. It's been getting great ratings because it is
Great.
one of the largest markets in North America in Toronto. Second largest market in America in LA. You have the Japanese contingent who are in there for watching. You have the entire nation of Canada
That's
supporting
the
the Blue
hill. That's
Jays.
a 100-pound gorilla. I mean, I was
Yes.
there for what 92 with the Braves.
Mm-hmm,
And I will say this. I know this is a football show, so I'm gonna use a football comparison.
mm-hmm,
When that game starts, that building becomes a football stadium. The waving of the towels, the
mm-hmm,
the I guess the aesthetics, the way that this it's built, you have sound waves that are crushing and they're coming together in the middle of the field and then reverberating back in your side. It's a
mm-hmm,
really, really unbelievable atmosphere because Blue Jays are Canada's team. Make no
mm-hmm,
mistake about that. So if
mm-hmm,
you win in Toronto, they're going to party just as hard in Vancouver, right, in British
mm-hmm.
Columbia as they are in Ontario. Oh
Mm-hmm.
Canada, we got your back. And
Even Quebec
great
will
series.
celebrate too.
And besides, somebody need to tell Dave Roberts that he don't need to be racing around the field anymore. That's my guy, and I will be hazing him next baseball season about that. Oh, we gotta get Dave Roberts on that, bro. That was classic. I love Dave Roberts. That's my guy. Go get yourself another ring, bro. That way you go to the Hall of Fame for sure.
All
But
right. Well, finally, give my game predictions here before we sign off here. What are your thoughts on this game? Final score? Anything stands out that you might see like from Malik, the defense, the running game, anything in particular you see about this game? Is like if Maryland has an opportunity to win this game, what's going to stand out?
you're gonna have to the offense is gonna have to have a sabbatical and they're gonna stay in Bloomington for Maryland to win. I mean, I think this is one of those games that Maryland wants a long group of sustained drives. Things in the neighborhood between 5 and 7 minutes of the quarter so that you limit the amount of offensive touches that Indiana has, which only means they probably go into a higher speed, more mode of coach of playing. You know what I'm saying? Up tempo stuff like that. So another thing is, and we chronicled it already, in their last 3 losses, Chuck, Maryland's blown leads in the fourth quarter, being outscored by 37 points in the final stanza. Now,
Mm-hmm.
and that can't happen in this game. That just can't. So you want to be close at the half, or leading at the half, and you want Indiana to have to come back. I don't know if you can play man-to-man defense with them as much. You're gonna have to rely on guys really effectively understanding the zone principles
Mm-hmm.
and where receivers are going because they do a lot of different things offensively to confuse you. And quite frankly, the off the defense of Indiana gets dwarfed by their offense. They do rank number 3 in the nation in scoring defense. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're not even giving up 18 points a game.
Mhm.
And when you start coupling that with offensive line that's only given up 3 sacks this year, they got that's tied for best in the Big Ten. So to me, this is an enormous challenge. This is the first time all season that I would say Maryland is a prohibitive underdog. Uh, I really do like Indiana in this game. I know that I think the last time I saw a line, it was probably like around 21. I wouldn't go any. I don't know if I would take that line if I were a betting person because that's extremely rich. I could
Mm.
see Indiana, however, covering that. But I'd have to say if I'm placing a bet, I'd have to go with Indiana to win. That's a big number to cover, though. You know what I'm saying? So I might have to take Maryland with the under.
Gotcha. And I am going to say Maryland will cover, but they will definitely not win the 21 points. I'm calling out Latrell Perry, Isaiah Wright, Michael Hershey, Aljuba, and Alton Heron to do something to open some holes for Nolan Ray, Deshaun Williams, and uh, Iverson Howard to get some yards. Can they get over 4 yards to carry in a game? That's all I'm asking. 4 yards to carry. So just keep the defense honest. And then Malik, I need you to look for punch down deep. And defense, I need you to stop making boneheaded penalties. No more personal fouls, no more roughing the passer, no more unsportsmanlike conducts. And
And
then you
stop
could
getting beat at the
possibly
point of attack. That's the
exactly,
thing that's
exactly.
bothering me most of all.
Yeah, on the D line, Fontes, Rice, you guys step up too. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna say Maryland's probably gonna cover the 16 after 21 points. Depends on where you're getting your numbers from, but they probably won't win. It will be a disappointing home game. And last piece people want to call out is the fan base. You guys, the team could. I mean, they say home field advantage matters. I think the team could use the support of the home team. And if the fans don't care, how are the players going to raise their level of play in order to play beyond their means when it comes to playing against a team like Indiana? And that is my take on the win on the game prediction. Is I'm probably going to say 45-29. Indiana. Maryland scores late to cover the spread. Yeah, that's
Oh
pretty much it.
wow. So not only am I going to get gutted, I'm going to get gutted in the last few minutes, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah,
meaningless
exactly.
touchdown to just blow me off. I'll be having one of those Stanford Steve moments.
One of those bad beats that
Yeah,
our boy
bad
SCP
beat.
talks
Yeah.
about. So,
And
okay.
that's a great point that you make, Chuck. This game's line is so dangerous. It screams of bad beat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're contractually obligated to have to make a prediction, so we give you one. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of a strategic betting analysis, I might want to go back off only because the line's that long.
Gotcha. Well, this has been another edition of Maryland Terrapins Live. I have been your host, Charles Young, along with Professor G, the OG, Mark Gray. How can we follow you across the social medias?
Oh man, all over the place. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. The Sports Groove. You want me? That's where I'm at. The Sports Groove. All over the
And you,
place in cyberspace, 24/7, 365, computer, smartphone, tablet. However you get your social media groove on, I'm
smartwatch.
there. The Sports Groove.
And you can follow me at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga, all over the place and in cyberspace, as Mark Gray would say.
Mhm.
Facebook, X, Twitter, uh, Snap, and to TikTok. You don't stop. You can find me all those places at Charles Younger, CharlesNyonga. And don't forget to follow the voice of college football. Go to the website, www.vof VOFCB. I can't speak. VOFC.
VOCFB. Easy for me to say.
VOCFB.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Man, tongue tied. I need some water. And for the best coverage of college football, and for that, we will bid you guys adieu, and we will see you next week. I will be at the game, live streaming, live tweeting to the millions and millions of our listeners out there. And Mark will probably join us too after he
I
takes
got
care
you
of
on
his
the post.
other
That's for
and other
sure.
post game.
Yep.
So tune in to
Hopefully, we'll
Maryland
have
Live.
Lamont Jordan again too.
Yes, we'll hear from the great Lamont Jordan, his insights of the game. Once again, for Maryland Terrapins Live, I am Charles Younger, and for Mark Gray, stay long, so long.
Deuces.